Hello and welcome to a new style of CraftySniper's Airsoft videos. Now, those of you that have been staying in tune with the Facebook site know that I put a post up yesterday regarding my very next video to deal with CraftySniper's reviews, and it was going to be of the WE XDM45. Now, don't you worry, don't panic, I will be getting onto this literally as soon as I've got this video all sorted out and it's on the computer. That will be the very next gun review I'm going to do. However, there's a video subject that's been bugging me for the umpteen months now that I haven't done a video in, and it's something that's quite important to airsoft players, probably equally as important as your actual airsoft weapon, and that is your camouflage pattern, and whether it is actually any use whatsoever. Would you actually be better suited turning up in a pair of shorts and a Hawaiian t-shirt? What I'm going to show you first of all is just the 4 styles of pattern that I have personally used over the 3 years that I've been doing airsoft, and I have a couple of full loadouts uniform wise, but I also have a couple of bit parts of patterns. Now, first of all, we're going to go with the very latest camouflage pattern that I have been wearing. Not as much as I'd like to, but we'll be getting around to that. Anyway, this is Vietnam Tiger Stripe US Army. It's my very latest pattern, and it's a full setup. I've got the trousers, I've got the jacket, I've got the tropical hat, I've even got an attack vest, South African style I do believe, in the same pattern colour as that. Brilliant camouflage. Next we have my second and more commonly worn camouflage pattern, and that is ex-British Army Woodland DPM. You see this quite a lot. Can't say anything about that other than it's absolutely fantastic. Anyway, next part camouflage pattern I have is this particular camouflage pattern, which is ATAC's Field Green, I do believe. For those of you that have watched Star Wars films, I do believe there was a variant, I've been told this anyway, that there was a variant of this pattern on Return of the Jedi. So there you go. I'm a Star Trek fan, so I'm wearing Star Wars uniform. And here we have my very first camouflage pattern. I wore this 3 years ago. I actually did have a full setup of this stuff. I'll actually get it look a bit neater. And that is Flecktarn from the German Army. Now, this whole video is going to be basically about camouflage patterns and whether they actually work or of any use whatsoever in the airsoft fight. Now, quite simply put, most photos you're going to see me in, if I ever appear in any of them, I'm going to either be in the Tiger Stripe from Vietnam, or I'm going to be in my DPM camouflage. Now, both those camouflage patterns are pretty good. In fact, to be honest with you, I actually do think personally, this is my personal choice, that the British Army DPM is probably one of the best camouflage patterns you can get as a whole package. Now, why is that? Why do I think that? Well, it's quite simple. 1, it's dirt cheap. 2, there's bucket loads of the stuff. There's container loads of this stuff. All different sizes, all different particular one. If you want this camouflage pattern on your keks, I'm pretty sure the British Army did some. This stuff is just fantastic. You know, if we get rid of the cheapness out of it, and the fact you can get loads and loads and loads of it, the actual pattern isn't that bad, because it works very well, would you believe, in a woodland. It works really well at night as well. Now, you might think that's stupid, because let's face it, you can go out butt naked in the middle of the night and you still not be seen. That's a complete lot of baloney, because various bits of clothing, or lack of, if you go out butt naked, reflect light. So when you're in a night match, there's going to be people with torches. Now, what replaced this, and I do believe that's MTP, correct me if I'm wrong, feel free to put a comment in below. Great camouflage pattern, but it doesn't cope with, it's not designed for woodland, it's not designed for the desert, it's not designed for the urban environment. What it's designed for is all that and then some more. So the camouflage pattern works well enough, you know. I mean, this is just my humble opinion. I personally will not be seen in any MTP whatsoever. Like I said, that's just my opinion on the stuff. But when you take it into the night, I guarantee you this stuff will not reflect that much light, whereas MTP will reflect light quite a lot, and therefore will give your position away. Henceforth will be followed up by about 10,000 BBs. This stuff, ATAX Field Green. Now this was a little bit of a fad I went through. It's a very nice pattern. I do like this blurred pattern. There's no actual, if you compare the two, the DPM and the ATAX, the DPM here is very big splodges of colour. That's my technical, artistic description. And ATAX is kind of blurred. Now that's brilliant. That's actually really, really good. Now you've got to imagine, okay, your camouflage pattern. If your airsoft site is a woodland site, okay, you're going to buy any one of these combinations and probably a lot more that are aimed at the woodland environment. The problem is the woodland environment changes the colours, the textures and the shades and all that kind of stuff all year round. In the summer, it's brilliant for the woodland DPM for the British Army. Brilliant stuff, because you've got dark greens on this stuff, and you've got lots of dark greens and very different shades of greens in the actual field and in your wood. However, when you get to autumn stroke winter, this camouflage pattern starts to, you know, not be that good. It's useful, it's just not brilliant. Because, like I say, you've got lots of browns, you've got a lot of dark greens in this camouflage pattern, and as we all know, when you go to a woodland in the middle of winter, well, the colours go very light. So then, this camouflage pattern starts coming into its own. This is the opposite of woodland DPM. This stuff is actually really, really good during winter. Not so good in the middle of summer. However, you know, price-wise, it's quite cheapish. It's not as cheap as the DPM. I dare say there ain't that much of it. You're probably going to find companies out there now, airsoft-related companies, making their own version of ATAX Field Green. Yes, you can go out and buy the real stuff. Yes, it'll probably cost you a lot more, but it is out there. The best camouflage I ever had was the very first set I was ever given. And I've thought about this. This is something that's been going around in my head now for many, many years. Which camouflage pattern is the best? And again, this is in just my humble opinion. This is just me. And that is obviously going to be the German Flexarm camouflage pattern. This stuff has a lot of dark greens in it. It's a lot of dark greens, but you've also got colours that relate to autumn. Okay, so you've got a lot of browns, you've got a lot of light, whatever the heck that colour is, but you've got a lot of light colours as well as your dark colours. So this kind of stuff works okay. Well, I say it's more than okay, it actually works quite great, really. It's great during the summer, and it's great during the winter as well. It's probably not very good when it snows, but then again, most camouflage patterns won't be. This stuff, price-wise, again, it's actually quite cheap. It's even older than woodland DPM. But there's quite a few countries that had a version of this particular pattern, and this is German, and I dare say most of the countries around that end of the world probably had, like I say, their own version of this stuff. I happen to know a person who sells all these patterns. I do believe I got every single one of them from him. I will put his link up at the bottom of the underneath his YouTube video. And if you are interested in a particular pattern in either one of those four, or you have your own idea, you know a particular pattern, please feel free to get in touch with him. He's great, cheap prices, good quantities, and the main thing is good quality. Now, this one, Tiger Stripe, I didn't really pick this for its camouflaging abilities. I picked this because I had, at the time, a Vietnam-esque weapon. I got a full setup of this stuff. I have trousers, I have a jacket, I have the boonie hat, I have a South African style attack assault vest thingamajig, and the camouflage, well, the pattern, the clothing itself is really, really good. The pattern, okay, it's all right. It's okay. Well, it's hard to describe this stuff because yes, this particular pattern was used during Vietnam, so that means it's been used in one heck of a wood in the middle of the tropics. So you'd think that this particular camouflage pattern would work well in a little wood somewhere in Lincolnshire. It does, it has its moments, you know. To be honest with you, it's really, really good. It is really, really good, let's face facts. But, as I'm going to say in, let's face it, what's going to be part 2 now of this video, the camouflage does not make the player, okay? You go out, you want to be an airsoft player, that's fine. You want to get your guns all sorted out, things like this, and bigger, that's fine. You then go get your camouflage pattern, you're going, oh wow, what camouflage pattern is going to camouflage me best in my woodland environment? That one there is going to 100% camouflage me, I'm going to disappear. You've watched too many sci-fi movies, it doesn't work like that. Okay, it's your playing tactics, it's your playing style that goes with the camouflage pattern. No camouflage pattern on its own is going to make you invisible. Likewise, you could have the best tactics in the world, but if you turn up in your Hawaiian shirt, that's not going to work either. It's a mixture of the two. And how I put this is, it's the way you play. It's the particular way that you play. Okay, now me personally, yes, I have ARs. Yes, I have an AK. I like the up close and personal gun battles, quick changing magazines, and let's face it, I've got 30-round magazines, I'm changing them very quickly. They're fun. That's when airsoft is really, really up there with the best. However, to me personally, I am more of, and I've classed this before, as a sniper stroke recon player. That's why I have 2 DMRs and 1 bolt action sniper rifle. Now, my playstyle has to change with these particular weapons because they're different. They have different requirements and different limitations, I should say, than your standard M4/AK/ whatever you want to call it. Now, at my club, at Lincolnshire Airsoft Club, the rules are quite simple. If you have an M4, let's just take the boggo standard M4, millions of them in the airsoft world, and you have that, you are limited to 350 feet per second with no engagement distance. That means you can shoot someone right on the end of the barrel if you want to be that stupid. Personally, I prefer a bang kill where you just say bang, that person's dead, but, you know, within 5 meters, people have been able to shoot someone in the buttocks or in the back or somewhere where it's not going to hurt too much. If you have your DMR, okay, now it has to have a real-world counterpart. That means in the real world, in the real steel world, there is that rifle set up as a DMR. Okay, so that's part 1 of it. Part 2 is you are limited to 400 feet per second. So you've got 50 feet per second compared to your ARs. After that, part 3 is you have an engagement distance, a minimum engagement distance, which is 35 meters, which basically means if the enemy is less than 35 meters from you, you can't shoot him with that rifle. You have to wait till that engagement distance exceeds even 35 meters. Now, my M1 Garand, which has been classed as a DMR because it was used in Korea, and I do believe was used in World War II as a semi-automatic sniper rifle, has those limitations. It also shoots out to about 65 meters, so you're basically halving the distance of the weapon. That's fine. The standard AR is going to shoot basically 50-55. I'm reaching 65, pushing maybe 70. So that's not a problem. The same as the SR25. Whenever I get that thing sorted out, that's got the same limitations, but I exceed the range of your AR. If I'm going to go at 1-to-1. And I have my SR or I have the M1, and you have an M4 or an AK. Okay, I'm shooting at you before you're shooting at me, and I've got a good chance of hitting you before you can hit me. But that's fine. Let's go back to what the video was all on about. Camouflage patterns. That's what it was. Now, as a sniper stroke recon player, my playstyle has to change to make use of the camouflage that I'm wearing, to make best use of the terrain that I'm also in, and also how I'm going to observe the enemy and in certain cases shoot them. Now, some people, like I say, get a camouflage pattern and think it's going to work brilliantly. They go out into the airsoft field and they're walking along and they think they're camouflaged. It doesn't work. Okay, first and foremost, the human eye detects movement. Okay, now that, you could be staring right at the area where the airsoft player is, where the enemy is. And that player isn't moving. And then he takes a step, and your eyes are going to lock straight onto that movement. You may not know it's a player, you may not know what it is, but you're going to know something's up. Okay, and that gets your alertness levels put up, and that's when the firefight usually starts in airsoft. Likewise, how you cover terrain. Okay, your camouflage pattern is going to help, but it isn't going to help matters when you have a giant ridge, let's say. Well, like we have at LAC, we have a very, very long ridge, and in the middle of summer, it's festooned with trees. It's covered in the damn things, bushes and all sorts. But there are patches where somebody on the lower level, shall we say, on the ground level, looking up at the ridge, okay, can see through over the ridge. And they're going to see movement because you're just ambling along and they see your legs, they see you walking. Now, from my perspective as a recon player, when I'm working on my own or working with a friend of mine, I'm going to be able to work out where you are, where you're going, where you come from, what your numbers are, possibly what weapon you're carrying. So do I have to worry about this or not? If you're carrying a standard AR, I don't really have to worry about it that much. And that gives me an advantage, a distinct advantage. That means I can now set up an ambush knowing that roughly, 20, 35 metres away there is a player probably going to walk into my little ambush. And it's all because that player just walked across the ridge, relying on his camouflage, thinking he wasn't seeing it. Never, ever, ever, ever assume that you're not seen. I don't use scopes. The SR has a 4x ACOG. The M1 has diddly squat. But I can still see you. I can work it out where you're going. And if I need to, I can be in position before you come down the ridge and I can shoot you. And 9 times out of 10 I've shot you before you've realised that I was there. So let's just face facts. You've been walking along, you got your rifle down, you're ambling along, you're looking everywhere, you think you're covering all your angles, and all of a sudden, pop, one round, chest, arm, wherever it's going to land, and you're going to be a little bit miffed. Okay, you're going to be a little bit miffed that you just got shot without knowing where the enemy came from. And you hopefully learn from that. Now, I've also heard this great phrase, I heard this on the internet sometime. Humans are lazy. When we want to cover some distance from A to B, we will take the path of least resistance. And I've actually related to this. I've actually seen this in airsoft. This actually works quite well. When somebody has to cover terrain, or a group of people have to cover terrain, they're going to take the easiest way. They're going to take the paths. They're going to take the road. They're going to take the field that doesn't have the great big 7-foot tall stinging nettles. As a sniper stroke recon player, brilliant, because that means I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to be on the road. I'm going to be hidden away in those 7-foot tall stinging bushes. And I'm going to be able to work out where you are, where you're going, what your numbers are, what your strengths are. And if necessary, I'm going to take out 3 or 4 of you and hopefully bug out. Hopefully, all things being well, if it's Christmas Day, I'm going to shoot every single one of you and get out. However, it doesn't always happen. But just imagine that one recon player who's camouflaged, who isn't moving, whose rifle is camouflaged, and you can't see this. He's not making a noise, there's no twig snapping, there's no talking or anything like that. But this player sat there and he's got this gizmo called communications. Okay? And he's laid there, he's sat there, he's out the way, but he's managed to get eyes on to your group of people. And you're just ambling along again. Maybe some of you are talking. Some of you are trying to be stealthy. Some of you are trying to do it, but it's not going to work well when somebody's talking behind you. That player has now radioed in your position. And now his team are going to meet en masse your group. And basically this could have been avoided. You could have spread out your formation. You could have been walking off the road. Okay, walking through the field, going slowly. Okay, walking so many meters, and then dropping down. Okay, hidden by 7-foot tall stinging nettles, and then moving a little bit further. Okay, that kind of terrain. Yes, it takes you longer, but you're more likely to get a larger group of people to your desired place where you wanted to go to, without attracting the attention of umpteen thousand BBs. Now, somebody did ask me, if camouflage is such a negative, what's the point in wearing it, you know, in the airsoft world? And to be honest with you, he's got a point, because like I say, camouflage does not make the player. It's the way you handle your terrain, the way you handle your movements, your sound, and your particular weapon system that you're using. Doesn't matter anything about these camouflage patterns down here so much. It's probably, to be honest with you, it's 50% camouflage and 50% how the player is. I have seen a lot of players coming out with OD green soft shell jackets. I've got one myself, it's hung up somewhere. Now that's not really camouflage, that's just an OD green cover, and yeah, it can camouflage up to a point, but you know, things like this, you know, that change the pattern and change the colours when you're hidden away in the bush are going to be much better. But it just depends on what you want. I've seen people turn up and they said, oh, I want to build a loadout based on American Special Forces, Navy SEALs for instance. That's fine. I personally do like, I'm not being a negative to anyone in camouflage, I do like to see people who've gone whole hog. They've said they're going to be American Special Forces, American Rangers for instance. I like to see what they've come up with camouflage pattern wise, but to then rely wholeheartedly on that pattern saving you in a firefight doesn't always happen. Okay, the person who I've seen people turn up in jogging trousers and you know, some kind of fleece like this, and they still manage to shoot the people in the Ranger gear. That's just airsoft in general. You've got to remember that the ranges come down when it's airsoft compared to real steel. I mean, what's the range of an M4? I haven't got a clue. Please feel free to knock that one in the bottom of the video. But in airsoft, everything's a little bit closer, so there's more chance of an engagement. So basically, airsoft is about, you know, things like this, and ARs and all that kind of stuff, and you're going to want to wear the clothing that suits you. You know, I mean, I personally haven't got any camouflage pattern that actually works for the guns I'm using. Okay, now I've worn this quite a bit recently, and I've been using an M16. This particular camouflage pattern doesn't work to anything really. I think it's American, I'm not 100%, but you know, I'll be using AKs with it. Basically, when it comes to airsoft, it's just keeping it simple. You know, it's whatever works for you. If you want to spend £1,800 on whatever camouflage pattern is brand new at the time, feel free, not a problem. You know, just don't rely on it being, you know, the best in the world. Likewise, if you want to be like me and have quite an abundance of uniform down here, it's just a camouflage pattern that may work. It may assist you. That's all it's going to be. It's an assistance. Get it right. So basically, the conclusion of this video is camouflage helps. That's all it's going to do. It's helping, but it's also the way the player moves, the way the player plays, for want of a better word. Now, anyway, that's all that's sorted out, and I've got that out of the system. Like I said, on Facebook, the very next video, gun-wise video, is going to be a review of this WXDM, which I'm literally going to get done on the same day that I've done this video. So I will see you then. Stay safe. Stay tuned on the Facebook site and the YouTube page for any videos that pop up. Yes, I want to carry on doing photography. I do believe I'm going to an away day event this Sunday at More Airsoft, which is at Melton Mowbray, I do believe. Looking forward to that. I'm going to be rocking out with the AK, the G&G AK. Probably even wearing Tiger Strike camouflage. There you go. Other than that, have fun, stay safe, and see you next time.